Yippee-Ki-Yay, mother.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome to Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Podcast. What's happening, everybody?
Hey, I feel strangely caged.
Caged. This is a cage match. This is the last. I know it's going to be disappointing for some of our
cage or a jail?
12 viewers.
Isn't it a jail match?
Yeah, isn't it a jail
This
match?
is
More than a
this
cage
is
match?
the last of our studio cage match, and actually,
Oh no!
I think it's one of the more interesting ones. I'm
I
not
do
going to lie.
too.
I think
I
this is
like
a good
it.
one. So we're going to do the cage match, studio cage match. We're going to do a round of what you watch, and then we're going to talk about the next theme we're going to do, which is remakes. And I had everybody send me 3 of their favorite remakes that we might want to talk about to put on the wheel. I added one for myself. I know I said I wasn't going to, but I threw one in there as a little special.
Please join us.
Thanks to Sean.
Was
Sean
Clute a
reminded
remake
me
of
how much
something?
what's that?
Was Clute a remake of
Clute
something?
was not remade.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
I know
if it
which
did.
one
If it
you're
did, I'd
adding.
go see it. Yes, you know exactly the one I'm adding. I
Yeah.
added.
So
Yeah.
let's
So
talk about it.
So Chris, this is your final studio cage match. So why don't you introduce the
Chris
two
Cage
films
match show.
that, listen, Chris, I'm not saying that I loved it. I enjoyed this one.
I enjoyed
I
it.
can't
It's
wait to
like
talk about
7
these
people
two.
who
so-
watched every week.
Right.
They loved it.
But what's the cage match tonight?
Well, the cage match tonight concerns 2 movies that involve very small locations and snipers. It is 2002's Liberty Stands Still, and made in 2002, but released almost a year later in 2003, Phone Booth.
Studio Cage Match.
There can be only one.
So, Phone Booth and Liberty Stands Still.
Wait, I'm going to miss that, Ralph. That little graphic right there, I am going to miss that.
It is a good graphic.
That
You
was
guys
a
want-
great
That
job.
was great, Ralph.
That was a-
Well
I'd
done, though.
love
Really
to look
well
at that
done.
one.
Yeah, that
You
was
know
way
what?
cool.
I don't know whether you guys are annoying about this thing. I don't. This is ridiculous.
It literally looks
We're
like
actually happy.
Really?
We like Ralph.
I want to
Sometimes
hear
we're
from Kelly.
sincere.
What does Kelly
And we're
think? That's what I
sincere.
want to hear.
Kelly thinks it's a jail.
It is.
Why
To
are
be
those
fair, listen.
movies
To
in
be
jail?
fair to Kelly, it actually is a jail cell. But who cares? It's a cage match. A jail is a cage.
Well,
I don't get it.
well.
All right. Anyway, come on.
Anyway.
Let's
So
get
Kelly
this
was
rolling.
right.
Sure. So, Liberty
I'm not saying she
Stands
was wrong.
Still
She was right.
stars Wesley Snipes and Linda Fiorentino.
Yeah, is that right?
Fiorentino.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
While Phone Booth stars Keifer Sutherland, or mostly Keifer Sutherland's
His
voice,
voice.
and Colin Farrell. And this was kind of when Colin Farrell was just breaking in the United States. I feel like this was one of his first films that we really got to look at him here in the United States.
And then he did Alexander, and then prison jail,
exactly.
movie jail.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Movie jail, like the credits.
Exactly. So with Liberty Stands Still was directed by Kari Skogland,
Who also wrote.
who also wrote the movie. And it's funny, when I started, I was like, I've never heard of this person. And then I looked at her IMDb, and
Tons.
she is a machine.
Right.
A lot of
has
TV, yeah,
directed
good TV.
So many good television programs. And I don't just mean like an episode here and there. It's like, oh, she directed 57 episodes of The Handmaid's Tale. So she's kind of like the director for that show.
Leftovers and
Yeah.
yeah.
La Femme
done a lot.
Nikita from the 90s. Yeah.
But this movie never made it to the theater.
It
I
made,
was wondering why I never saw it in the theaters.
yeah, because I think it probably only came out in a couple of places. It had an $11 million budget and had a box office worldwide of about $595,000.
Right.
So
That's
didn't
with
really-
Wesley Snipes when
Yeah.
he was still a big star.
Was he a big star in 2002?
He was still doing movies.
Yeah, but he wasn't like, I think, when did he really?
When
Is
did
this
he do
is this
Blade?
later in his career?
When did he
When
do
was
Blade?
when was
This is
Passenger-
only 4 or 5 years after Blade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
he was still a
what
star.
about Passenger 57 and all those things he
Those
did?
are all mid 90s.
Always
That's
bet
before
on
Blade.
black.
Demolition Man too, was that 90s?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Okay, so this is
Yeah.
post. Okay, I didn't realize that.
So, and the Phone Booth for the numbers was directed by Joel Schumacher.
Mm.
Somebody, some people might call him everybody's favorite hack. Actually, I think
Everybody's favorite window dresser.
He's
Where
great.
image is everything.
he is Schumacher.
Is he the one that put the nipples on Batman's suit?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
he is.
There you go.
And
That's
the
what he's
cod
known
pieces.
for.
Uneven. That
He
guy.
did but he did Lost Boys. He's done a ton of.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Lost
in
Boys
fact,
may be his best movie.
also written by Larry Cohen.
B movie.
Who
Maestro.
pitched it? Who pitched it to Hitchcock?
Really?
And the only
That's
thing
how
they
old
could
the script
and
was.
Michael Bay. Michael Bay was going to do this one too, but they couldn't figure out how they were going to get him out of the phone booth, which I thought was fascinating.
Michael
What do
Bay
you mean,
wanted
blow
him.
it up?
Michael Bay wanted him out of the phone booth. That's what he wanted.
Yeah. Okay, Michael Bay. That's an entirely different movie.
Exactly.
Armageddon.
Yeah.
So the budget on phone
Don't hate on Michael Bay.
was only $13 million, so very modestly priced movie, but it returned $97 million worldwide.
I
So
loved that movie when it
That's
came out.
more.
quite a profitable film for those that said, "Hey, let's make a movie about a guy in the last remaining phone booth in New York City." Before we jump into it, in the thises and the that's, because there's a lot of interesting stuff here. I will say this is very interesting that phone booth was supposed to open, I believe, in October of 2002, but due to the DC sniper that some of you guys may remember,
Snipers.
snipers, there's two.
Right.
It actually was pushed until April of 2003, so almost a full year after Liberty Stands Still, which made its very short run in May of 2002. And I will say, on a personal note, I remember the sniper very well because as I was driving down 29 to get to Silver Spring, I was listening because I worked like a swing shift, and they were talking about all of the different incidents happening on that first day, and I was like, wait a minute, that's literally all right around me. So
Yeah.
Well, we had. I'll just say
sure
my
you
little
did as
piece.
well.
The corner, literally 2 blocks from my house, was one of the people got shot at a gas station. She had just dropped her kids off. She's just vacuuming out her van, and she got shot at a gas station. Right
Oh,
out
that's
in front of her house.
terrible.
Well, I remember feeling like that's an awful thing that's happening, but I live in Baltimore, in Mount Washington on Falls Road. So it's nowhere around here, except that at night they were driving up to like 3 blocks from my house,
Yeah,
from my
it's
apartment,
insane.
and hanging
They-
out.
Time.
So,
So you
were
can see
hanging
why
out
they would
here.
be a little hesitant to put this one out.
Yeah. So,
well,
but
also that's not unusual for them to be cowardly. These are the same stupid
Not
people
cowardly. It's
who
not
wiped
cowardly.
they wiped the Twin Towers out of serendipity. Like, come on, give me a break.
It's not cowardly. It's just you just gotta,
Silly.
it's a little,
so
I don't know.
So anyway, the interesting thing, and I'll just kind of go over real quickly, the two films are actually quite different. Phone Booth is obviously trying to be an intense thriller, suspenseful thriller about a guy who is being terrorized by a sniper, who he can't see or find, and he's being forced to live up to the fact that he is kind of a duplicitous, smug liar of a person, both with his wife and with his girlfriend.
Yeah, he plays a what's he play? He plays like
Plays a
a
PR
Publicist.
Yeah.
publicist,
A flack.
Yeah.
And while
a fast talking publicist.
Yes, while Liberty Stands Still takes a much more political view, and it's definitely a movie made for a purpose, which is it's about a woman who is part of the weapons industry, or the arms industry, I guess you would call it, and who is being targeted by Wesley Snipes as a guy whose daughter was murdered by one of the weapons that her company produced
At a school.
So
Pretty prescient, if I
Yes.
could use a word that I use a lot.
I knew you were going to say that this week.
I mean, that movie starts, talking about Liberty Stand Still, just starts with a montage of Second Amendment quotes. I mean, they basically type the Second Amendment on the screen.
sure.
And definitely are taking the director is definitely taking a leaning into this one.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously,
I'm leaning into the camera.
Kari
see that.
Skogland had her, she has an opinion and a thought, and she put it up there on the screen to be seen.
Unfortunately,
You
no
guys
one
talk
saw the
about it
movie.
right now.
Could someone
because I
shoot
haven't
that dog? No, I'm just kidding.
Hey,
I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I know, Joe.
Wow.
You're very sensitive about that. I'm sorry.
But
Whose dog is that? Is that Chris's dog?
that is mine.
That's
That is,
Chris. You can tell by the way he wanted
That
to stop
bitch.
talking there for a second.
so let me ask you. I'm going to throw it out there. Personally, I thought Phone Booth was better. I thought Liberty Stands Still was like, hey, they're going for something. They're trying to put forth an idea. And that's totally fine. But as an actual film, I thought it was a little slow, and I thought it was a little somewhat ponderous and preachy, but
and cheesy.
Even though personally, I don't disagree with the message that she's putting forward. Let me put it that way. I don't disagree with that at all. However, I would say that Phone Booth I thought was well, not. Let me put it this way. I did not think it was great. I did think it was a much better movie than Liberty Stands Still.
I 100% agree with that. It's a better film.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I did like it better, but I think Liberty Stands Still to me resonated slightly. Maybe because like you, I'm on the left side of this, and I kind of felt the message that she was putting out. I felt like Phone Booth was very showy. It was a very showy film about this, especially Colin Farrell. I think there were scenes where he confesses to his girlfriend that the whole cast and crew were, clapping. And the only thing about Phone Booth that drove me a little crazy is it was like, what was the purpose of why the person did what he did to that guy? We never find out exactly.
He's just a psychopath.
But why did he pick that guy, and how? It's like Saw, the movie Saw, where that guy picks people and tries to teach them a lesson for some reason, but we never know why he picks that person. I mean, I get it. He picked him because he's a liar and but why? We never get a motivation except the general motivation that he talked through the whole film. And then at the end, that scene where he bumps into him in the ambulance, are they trying to do a sequel? Was he gonna go on and do a whole series of these sniper shooting people like that?
It ends with him on the phone. The phone travels through. He's calling somebody else to do the same thing to somebody else.
I did like the montage at the beginning of Phone Booth where they're talking about how important phones were to people. And this is in 2002.
Yeah.
The iPhone came out in 2009, right? So it's amazing when you look back at this stuff, how even more involved with our phones we are than then. And the fact that it's the one lone phone booth and everybody wanted to use the phone booth, and it definitely a better film, better made. Joel Schumacher knows how to make a film.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I just like Liberty because I think it's Linda Fiorentino. I really enjoy watching her in films. Like I said, in Men in Black, I loved her character of the morgue doctor that she was, and how adorable she was. And of course, they take her clothes off in this. We don't see any, but it's Linda Fiorentino. So, but it's so in its time, and it's so cheesy.
What about
Oliver
that score?
Platt? With what?
What about that score? Perhaps the single most glaring, annoying score in film history.
I see. I don't catch scores, so it's hard for me to say what was it about. You talking about Liberty Stands? The whole thing is over the top. Wesley Snipes too is. I don't know.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I was surprised. When this came up on the wheel, and I saw it on the wheel, I'm like, oh, Phone Booth, love Phone Booth. I went, how come I've never seen Liberty Stand Still? Well, as you said, because it was not in the theaters, because I saw everything then. And around 2002, I was still going to New York all the time. During the 90s, I was going to New York, and I was using phone booths a lot because I didn't have it's amazing how much we love these phones now. And when we didn't have them, I used to have to get like this little code to punch in. I'm in business, and I would answer. My home phone was my business phone, and I would just like check in 3 times a day for messages. It's amazing how we didn't need a phone with us all the time, and how changed it is now. But so I decided I had to see Liberty Stand Still. As soon as I heard it was like Phone Booth, I wanted to see it. And then that Lionsgate logo comes up, their old logo, that's really crappy, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a piece of shit. Because at that time, Lionsgate wasn't known for making, high quality films. It was sort of a dumping ground. No offense. I love Lionsgates now, if anyone's watching.
Oh my God.
I love lions.
Well, I got to tell you, my 2 My two brushes with greatness.
Oh, do we really need to do this again?
No. One.
Again?
Yeah, Wesley
You're
Snipes.
so shameless.
Wesley Snipes, we offered him a role in our third Revelation Road film, which is now being made into a series. And this was just after he got out of prison. We offered him a decent amount of money, and he turned us down. So that's my brush with greatness on that film.
After reading the script or before reading the script?
Yeah,
Bless you, Drew.
I didn't.
Thank
The
you.
script was rewritten after mine, and when I saw the final script, I'm like, "Geez, no wonder he turned it down.
Oh, okay.
Van Damme turned it down. It's like everybody turned it down. They wouldn't offer it to Seagal because he's such a jerk. But we ended up getting that guy
He
who
was
was
pushing $3 bills probably at the time.
yeah. But in the other film, Larry Cohen, the scriptwriter, I did a movie based on a one-man show his daughter had written. His daughter's kind of like pretty well known in the movie business, and I wrote a movie based on something she wrote. So it's like, wow, this is Larry Cohen's daughter.
I'll probably cut this out, but keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do.
Well, I thought you wanted someone on this podcast who's actually been out there making movies and knows these people.
Yeah, but
That
he
was
didn't want
5
you to
years
talk
ago.
about it.
That's 5. Now we talk about films. I mean, how many?
Yeah.
Come on. Okay. Did
No,
you?
but,
Okay, I didn't-
So, Debbie, which one did you like better?
Oh, phone booth, hands
Oh,
down.
of course. Okay.
And Liberty stands still. What the hell? What the heck was that movie about? Really, it was
It's about
so stupid.
arms dealing
Yeah.
I know, but it seems so
and hot dog.
Layer.
And hot dogs.
Layer.
Well, it's about a guy who wants revenge
Yeah.
for his daughter's
That makes sense.
what?
But he's also so
How's
good
that-
that he can set up bombs in the thing, bombs in the theater.
And then he
I'm
kills
gonna throw
himself
this
at
in.
the
I
end.
mean, they make that was kind of the point of him being part of the CIA Black
He had
Ops
some
team or
very
whatever.
special
So he's kind of
skills.
He's got a very special set of skills.
Right.
exactly, but he was also kind of created by the machine. That's coming back to
It's
I
the
wasn't
same
going-
I
story.
do
What
have
other
one
film?
question about the film.
In the Line of Fire, same thing. That John
know.
Malkovich, the CIA created this monster, and he can go do whatever he needs to do. That's what Wesley
Yeah,
Snipes is
but-
doing.
It's just,
Wesley
I just
Snipes.
found it completely implausible that he could put the hot dog stand. And I watched this movie twice. What happened to the guy? I missed
Yeah.
what happened to the
The
hot,
hot dog guy. I
thing.
think he was a cop. I think he was an undercover cop.
No, he was.
I have no
bribing
idea
them.
what
Maybe,
happened.
I
You know
don't
what?
know,
You know
but
the
it's
one.
sort of like
He was
I
The
know,
one
I know.
character
restroom
that in Liberty
for an
Stands Still,
hour.
her boyfriend actor guy. That's
Russell.
yeah.
Russell.
Look, what
Like,
happened to the hot dog
Was he
guy?
supposed to be the next big star? That guy? Who was that?
I
guy?
don't know.
First of all, he was
Hot dog
amazing
guy.
at not moving. But the hot dog guy, there was an alert that went out to basically all the hot dog sellers in the city. But it wasn't about this crisis. It was that there was a special discount hot dog day at the baseball stadium. So they all went over
Don't make
there.
fun.
$1
You're making fun
hot
of the
dogs.
movie. I don't like the
sell
way you're
it,
making
so.
fun of
He
it.
was working with Snipes. I mean, they were working together
That's
No,
what
I don't
thought.
get that.
Yeah.
Were they?
You mean
Yeah, they
Snipes
were.
the sniper?
because they looked at each other and they
Gave him the
nodded.
nod.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
So
right at the
and
beginning, the
even he said to
montage
him-
at the beginning.
He said something to her when he knew it was about to happen. Something like "Be careful" or something. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
she
what he
was
said,
getting
but
her
Okay,
coke
I
from that
missed
guy.
that. I
Yeah.
watched the movie twice.
He's
you
a
watched it
coke fiend.
twice. Interesting.
I never really got to talk about the movies. Well, my problem with this film, other than
How did
the
that happen?
the
Yeah, I don't know. We went off on
annoying-
some other tangent.
What, Sean? What do you say?
other than the absolutely annoying score that just kept taking me out of the movie,
Oh, the score.
it's sort of like, okay, Wesley Snipes' motivations I understand. That's fine. But it's sort of like the CIA is sending agents to shoot her from the roof of a building in the opposite direction with 9mm, and then the guy just goes and does it. No, it was just one thing piled on, and the guy sleeping with the president's wife. It's sort of like it just piled stuff on top of itself till it was freaking unbelievable.
Okay,
Now,
let's
she had
back. You know what? Okay, let's
It was
not
crazy.
hoist Phone Booth up as like a masterpiece.
That
given
was
all the stuff going on in that
suspenseful.
one too.
It
Okay,
It was a really
There's-
suspenseful.
Oh yeah.
really-
Oh, Katie Holmes is in there. The wife who's come on. It was just as cheesy. I'm not going to lie. Forrest Whitaker with his whole divorce, his whole thing about going to therapy and divorce, how that became a big.
Hey, Forrest Whitaker's always good.
I'm not saying they're not good, but it's just as cheesy and just as. It's
Yeah.
just John. Go ahead, John. You're quick. Come on,
No,
jump in
I'm
here.
just listening. I just want to listen.
Okay. It's just yes. Phone Booth is a better made film,
Yes.
but it had just as cheesy
Exactly.
elements as the other one did.
I don't.
But they won the cage
I
fight.
don't agree with that.
It's the thing about also when you're looking at Phone Booth, because part of it is like, part of it is this guy has some weird sense of morality, right? Like you're gonna confess. So what did that pizza delivery guy ever do to get smoked, right? Like there was that part of
That was all part of the plan. He knew that was going to happen.
But I know,
Yeah.
but my point is like he
That's a
kills this
misdirect.
guy who did. I mean, maybe the pizza guy was actually delivering drugs along with the pizza? Maybe he was a terrible dude. I don't know. But like he kills the guy and then uses him as the body.
And then what about the little robot?
I don't know.
I mean, there's nothing. It's just bad.
Yeah.
It's actually Liberty Stand Still had a point of view.
True.
This
The other
film
one
did
didn't.
too.
The other one, no.
use-
We don't know. I
Don't
don't
cheat
know.
on your wife.
I don't know the sniper's point of view. Why was the sniper so upset? Was he a? What was he a? What? Why was the reason he was so mad at him for cheating on his wife? What's the what? That's what I mean. It's like Saw. The Saw franchise was about a guy who just picked people because they weren't living a great life, and he wanted to prove something. What was Keifer?
That's all he's doing too.
But
It's
he doesn't-
simpler.
But he has no.
And the score was less annoying.
Okay, I don't know.
Was it-
John, come on, get in here.
What do you say, John?
Well, I had never seen Liberty Stand Still, so
Nobody has.
I'm going
Nobody
to take away the propaganda of the film.
Ugh.
And no, listen, I don't mind a good debate, but there was no debate, and it was propaganda. So I'm going to put that aside. As far as a film goes, I didn't think she was very good in this. The
No,
way
she
she
wasn't.
responded
No.
to having a sniper aimed at her.
And she's usually naughty.
So that bothered me. The setup of it when she's chained to the hot dog stand was kind of stupid because nobody notices this as they're walking by
Well,
her.
plus the cutaway of her ankle on the chain was the same cutaway
Yeah.
every time.
But I will say,
Ooh, didn't notice
look, I,
that.
I liked Phone Booth better. I think Colin Farrell, who had done Tigerland before this, so he wasn't completely unknown. In fact, he got this because of Tigerland. I thought he was great in this.
He was
And-
great. I just didn't get his accent. Was he
Okay.
Bronx or
Yeah,
what?
yeah, he was doing a New York accent.
Irish
But-
guy doing Bronx.
But I'm always amazed at films like this where the actor or actress is alone for a lot of the shooting. And I'm always amazed by that they're able to, like, I found his performance really good.
He was
but
great.
I'm
No doubt.
looking at it from an acting standpoint. Nobody's there. He was listening to somebody on the phone. But it was shot kind of independent. I think they filmed in 10 days in New York and then a couple days in a studio. So it was really a quick shoot. And the reason why they
Which
clapped
one,
for
phone
him-
booth or
Phone booth. The reason why they clapped for him was he did that breakdown scene at the end in one take. So that's why the crew applauded.
you actors,
So
you act- like- like
whatever
nobody
you
could
can.
do
Ralph,
that.
you talk
Acting
about
is not that
editing.
hard.
I'm going to talk about acting.
It's not that hard.
But
What about the actor in Liberty Stand Still?
Wesley Snipes didn't bother me. I thought he was okay. I will say this. I wasn't a big fan of this movie, but it did keep my interest till the end.
That's
I
right.
wanted to know what was going to happen.
Me too.
Phone Booth was the same way, and the fact that they showed Keifer Sutherland at the end, I remember when I first saw this, I wasn't expecting that, and that his voice is great.
Well,
His
the thing
voice
they
is
did
great
from a
for this.
technical standpoint, they had his voice not on the phone. It was a
Right.
full blown,
Right.
like
That's right.
fully narrated.
Where Liberty they did that. Also, Ron Ellard was the original sniper, and they cut him out and brought in Keifer Sutherland. So he wasn't the original.
Wow,
guy.
they changed him out. They upgraded it.
Yeah. So I just found Phone Booth. Look, Liberty Stand Still ended up being direct to video, and you can see why. It was just kind of silly. But again, I will say I wanted to see how it was going to end. So it did keep my interest. But I just think Phone Booth is a better film. I think the performance by Colin Farrell is better than she was.
Yeah, there's no
So
comparison.
that's why I.
How'd
I
you
go
feel
with-
about Forrest Whitaker's like divorce therapy?
But listen, this is one of these movies. It's if you're not into Colin Farrell's character, you're not into the movie. Everyone else is peripheral. So other than the voice on the phone,
Katie
So,
Holmes is in there.
to me,
and-
it doesn't matter. It's him.
The
You
woman
watch that
from
film for that
from
performance of him
yeah.
in that phone booth. And if you're going to say the same thing about the other movie, because everyone else, Oliver Platt maybe, but Wesley Snipes and her, were those stellar performances that you hung on? No, because I didn't buy her for 1 second the way she reacted to that. So, but again, I wanted to know what was going to happen, so I didn't absolutely hate it. But compared to Phone Booth, I just thought and mostly because of his performance, I thought he was great in it. So that's why I really like Phone Booth.
Huh.
Drew.
Anybody? Drew.
Wow, that
Drew?
really got
I know.
everyone
Wow.
quiet.
Well,
Holy
I
cow.
agree with you so much I can't.
Okay.
Inwardly
Go ahead,
for
Drew, because
accounts.
we'll get into
So-
it after you talk.
I remember seeing Phone Booth in the theater, which is 21 years ago now or whatever. And I really like one location movies. I really like Locke, Buried with Ryan Reynolds. Like the challenge of
Much better
writing
films.
that kind of story is really interesting, and the challenge of executing it as a movie is also really challenging. Which is I think that's really why Hitchcock turned down the idea of directing it, is that he just he didn't feel he could do it justice. Not because it was like such a special thing he wasn't up to, but just the idea of it, like it's very small. It's sort of a different version of Michael Bay's whole thing of how do we get him out of the phone booth, because I make much bigger movies. So I remember when I saw Phone Booth, I thought that this is a really bad movie, and I don't understand why everyone is so excited about this movie, why they love this movie. I used to say, you can get the bell out. I used to say hello to Joel Schumacher all the time when I worked on the Sony lot. I would see him at the commissary. He was a delightful, friendly, sweet guy, just really nice. That did not translate to most of his movies. I think you can tell what a Joel Schumacher movie is. That doesn't mean
he did 8mm.
That's also a terrible movie.
Oh my God, no, it's not.
He's
Nicolas
very hacky.
Cage.
It's like the hacky version of Seven, so that's no good.
Well, written by
the way that they did Phone Booth. You mentioned the Keifer Sutherland audio mix. I remember in the theater, I really hated that.
Yeah,
I hated
You
that
wanted to hear it on the
because
phone?
it just didn't sound like I'm supposed to believe this guy is in this situation, and it sounds like he's arguing with a voiceover.
Right.
And I never sort of it just kept distracting me. And I also, the way that he used, the movie's 80 minutes or something. The way that Schumacher used essentially the picture-in-picture type of multiple frames thing, I thought that was really distracting. And I never liked the movie, and I thought it was pretty dumb. I'd never heard of Liberty Stands Still. I like Linda Fiorentino a lot, some of her other movies. This was her second to last movie or something. She hasn't made anything since
What happened to her?
2009 or something. She wasn't getting work, and she's kind of out of the business.
Too bad.
You mentioned that this movie was made for a purpose, with those overwrought credits and everything. I was disappointed that the purpose of the movie was clearly not to be entertaining, because it was so bad. I hated the music also. It was really distracting. They had that weirdly tight close-ups. So I was like, I don't know what you think you're doing, but it isn't working. And I found myself noticing things as I was watching the movie, which is bad. His sniper rifle, the bore, the hole at the end of his silencer is so small, no bullet would pass through that. Why do I have to notice that? I'm not engaged with the movie. The picture of the hot dog on the cart when she's kneeling down, when she's connected to it, there's a poster of a hot dog on the cart that is to her right. It's one of the most disgusting photographs of food I've ever seen. It was just really
I gotta watch
gross.
it again now.
Well, those weren't even hot dogs, by the way. Those were giant sausages.
Yeah,
they weren't hot dogs.
They were pretty big.
They were big.
They were both
Debbie liked those.
They were just both really just dumb and terrible. But I will give them credit; they were terrible in their own distinct ways. And I feel like this series that we've done, I think it works better when we have, whatever it might be, a strong reaction to the movies, which is why I really enjoyed our discussion last week about The Prestige and The Illusionist, because those are movies that are of high quality and are worth talking about. And these are movies of very, very low quality and
but
totally worth talking about, because I found myself watching them and going, this is just straight garbage. I don't understand. And
and then she goes on to direct
a Hollywood film.
She's like a famous TV director. She does
TV used a lot more close-ups.
And I'll say this too about Liberty Stand Still. The deaths in Liberty Stand Still were pretty gruesome.
Yeah, that
the
reporter dying was very sad.
That
that was sad.
sad.
And the cop who gets shot, that
Yeah.
bald cop who was part of the drug thing, he was, he's a bad cop, but even his death was prolonged, and the guy that was helping him didn't really want to be there. I enjoyed
And-
Liberty Stand Still.
Yeah, but the one thing you gotta rack your brain now. The title, Liberty, Stand Still. Okay,
That's her name. Her name is Liberty.
Yeah, but it means liberty. Okay, our free will.
Well, her
Yeah, it
father
was
named her
very
Liberty
subtle.
because he was
I mean,
a
it was very
right-wing
subtle,
Republican.
the way they
Yeah.
did that.
It wasn't.
That's what
yeah.
I'm saying. It stands still. You know what I mean?
Like a
Liberty.
statue, you're saying.
Liberty
stands.
stands still.
Well, that's. I mean, it's
It means something.
pretty clear.
Yeah.
She
No,
was
definitely.
Pretty
supposed
out
to stand.
there.
No.
And his name was Joe.
Oh,
So that meant,
Coffee.
he was drinking coffee. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah.
I didn't notice the hot dog picture. I got to be honest with you.
I gotta watch the movie again.
That was shocking.
Drew,
Now we're getting
I have
silly.
to watch it again.
Now,
it was
Ralph,
just
this is
shocking.
starting to be the counselor.
Oh, The Counselor's a really fun movie. These are not fun. These
Yeah.
are terrible.
oh.
And I really,
No,
I
they're
really
both.
don't
No,
I really
no.
don't
I
understand-
disagree.
Having
I
fun
think
Wait,
right
they're
now.
both.
I
They're
really
both
don't
fun.
understand. Phone
And it-
Booth has this reputation as this
Right.
really great thriller and all this kind of
It's
stuff.
not. It's-
And I don't get that. At
I
all.
mean, were the
I'll tell
sex
you what.
workers a bit of a cliche, and the pimp
No,
a bit
back
of a
then that was
cliche?
perfect
And
depiction of them.
the sergeant
time.
with the I just divorced my wife, and because I didn't sleep with her enough, whatever. I mean, it was all a
but you
cliche.
bought Oliver Platt sleeping with the president's wife.
I
That
love.
wasn't-
By the
that
way,
wasn't crazy.
He's Oliver Platt. He's
Oliver
Oliver
Platt is
Platt.
one of my favorite actors.
Yeah,
I
okay,
can watch
he's
him
he's
do
going to
anything.
sleep with the president's wife.
I
don't
couldn't
think so.
buy
Why?
him.
Why would you say that?
No.
I couldn't buy him walking out to see. He knew he was. What did
Oh,
he
his
want
death
to
was
die?
pretty. His death was pretty gruesome too, because he shot him in the knee first and then took him out.
Yeah, but the thing is, there was nothing about his character that made me think he would walk out there.
Well,
And then
Snipes
he
He was
Blood
trying to
is
protect his
really-
wife. I think
he
he
said,
finally
"You're
was
not
doing
a
the,
man. You're a
he was
coward."
doing the honorable thing
Yeah.
to protect his wife.
And then the wife is so upset, she's shocked and horrified when her husband dies.
Right.
And then 8 minutes later, she's running off hand in hand happily with her boyfriend actor Russell.
Yeah.
that was a funny scene. That whole thing with the
hilarious. I mean,
cockroach
I laughed
walking
about
on
that for
the
minutes.
bomb.
The cockroach gave one of the better performances.
yeah. Great cock.
Oh, they're
you
banging on
guys
the
are-
door.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think we've established they're both cheesy.
No. You
Yes.
say they're both cheesy. I did not say that.
Right.
I don't
okay.
think they're both cheesy.
Okay.
I
This
think
is our
Liberty Stand
best
Still is cheesy.
Cage
By the
match
way,
so
Katie
far.
Holmes is adorable.
I have to agree with Ralph on here. Like, the both of the premises of these films is kind of ridiculous, and
Ridiculous.
it lends itself to cheese.
And I have no motivation for Keifer Sutherland's.
Yeah, it's
Part
it's
that he
he's
played.
this kind of like
What's the
almost.
big deal? He's like judging everybody. Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to know why he was picking on
You
this
wanted
one
his
guy.
backstory.
I did.
Interesting.
This one I wanted some
Very
backstory.
interesting.
You're correct. I did.
Yeah.
I did.
And it's like, in Wesley Snipes, I mean, he kills himself in the end because he's like, I'm not going to go through all this,
But most of these guys do it.
You know what I
He
appreciated
accomplished
about
what he
that?
wanted to accomplish.
They kept hinting like they were going to show what happened to his daughter,
Mhm.
and they didn't. They chose not to. They had
Yeah,
the
At one
one
point, they
quick
showed
shot
like swings.
with the swing set, but
Yeah.
we never went back to what actually
Right.
happened. And I thought that was a good choice because
Yeah.
it would have been over the top compared to everything else going on in
Yeah.
the film.
Also,
that would've
there
been
was sort
But
of
come
like
on,
an
the
unwritten-
actors. Listen, the stereotypical the things going, the characters in Phone Booth. They were doing stereotypical New York stuff.
Ralph,
That's why it felt like a
By
studio
way of
lot.
Ireland.
I mean,
It did feel like a studio lot, but I think they
it
shot
wasn't
that
a
on the
studio
street.
lot. It wasn't. They shot in New York.
Right.
No,
but
they
it didn't
didn't.
feel that
Yeah,
way.
they did. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. They shot in L.A. to make it look like New York.
Oh, that was not
Yeah.
shot in New York.
No, that was L.A.
It looked
Yeah.
like that then.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad.
And the other
They
movie
recreate-
was L.A. but shot in Vancouver, which is why it looked.
Oh, that
like
looked
a
that
mid-nineties-
did
Liberty
not
Stand
look like
Still was shot
L.A.
in
That was
Vancouver.
weird.
Now that
No, it
looked
looks-
like a
it looks
backlit-
like-
The thing about you know what I loved about
looks like
Liberty
a
Stand Still?
mid-nineties, but it looks like a mid-90s television show shot in Canada.
Right.
with
I loved all the
actors and
dudes
stuff,
walking
so.
up to get their drugs. Those guys, those
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, they're probably all on episodes of the X Files.
so bad.
Like
It
everybody.
was
on
so
Law
bad. It
and
was
Order.
great. See, that's the thing. It was so bad.
Oh, no,
it was
yeah.
great to me.
You've changed my mind on this, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you. But Colin Farrell was good. I'm not saying he was.
He was way better than she was.
Of course, I'm not. I don't deny that.
And that was very moving at the end when they had the wife and the girlfriend, and then they brought that little pony of his, for Colin Farrell's little pony, and then it ate the finger and died.
First of all, it's a miniature donkey. Have some respect for Jenny.
Okay,
God damn it.
Wow, that's a deep,
Now I'm sad again. Thanks,
deep
Sean.
joke that didn't work at all.
All I want to do is play the fiddle. So the first
But
thing
at
I'm gonna do
least
is
Drew
cut my
got it.
fingers off.
Yeah, right.
Cut all my fingers
Well,
off.
when you
That's
said
all
little
different.
pony, they eat the finger.
Well, in this
all right.
film, do you think Colin Farrell would have hung up if the guy said, "If you don't hang up, I'm going to cut off one of my fingers"? It's like, well,
Again, I don't know the motivation of the guy, the sniper in this one. I have no clue. Like, why did he kill the pizza guy? I know he did it to cover up his own thing, but what his
Well,
motivation?
I read the book. The adaptation of the script. And
what?
apparently, Chris has got me so into these books now. And apparently, the pizza guy had an affair with the sniper's wife. So it was really all about just getting the pizza guy.
Well, that would have been good to know
Yeah.
in the film.
Well, that's
'Cause
what
that
it said in
would've-
the book. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why they
That's-
cut.
well,
that.
Are you BSing us?
I say, first of all, John, I think
Is that a
you-
joke? Was he lying?
That's a joke.
Jeez.
John,
I'm pretty sure there wasn't even a
John, you
novelization
shameless.
of
Yes,
rat.
Drew.
John, I think your audiobook niche could be reading novelizations. I think that would be like classic ones, any Alan Dean Foster, anything. Also, I think the other problem is that like so much stuff didn't make sense in Phone Booth that by the time you get to the end of it, I'm like, that dude is walking through his own crime scene with a rifle case,
Well,
wearing a trench coat,
a giant
Like,
rifle
what-
case.
Like that wasn't,
And not a
like,
cop stopped him. Nobody
was
went,
thinking that
hey,
too.
what's what
When
are
I
you
saw
doing?
that giant case, they know there's a sniper on this.
Okay,
guy's
they do
pocket.
one close up. Would they do a close up? The guy was one of the snipers, and one of the cops was putting a bullet. Did you guys know that was a rubber bullet that went in that gun?
Well, I hope so.
They did a it's like
Yeah.
Chekhov's gun. They did a specific cut of a guy putting
I don't remember seeing that. No.
Okay.
I remember that's what he got shot with. I don't
Right, he
remember.
got shot with a rubber bullet, but it was one of the cop snipers, and I just want to know if everybody knew that was going to be a rubber bullet that was going to because did anybody think he actually got shot by a real bullet?
Well,
No.
no, because I didn't see any
I didn't
blood.
care.
I didn't see any
Right,
blood.
that's exactly right. I didn't care either.
I just didn't-
when
I
he
just didn't
when he
care.
did that, as soon as he
Yeah.
came out, he should have been by the rules of the movie, he should have been shot and killed right then and there. But he didn't.
You know what? The logic in Liberty Stand Still is making much more sense to me.
I actually,
The fake
if you break it
bombs.
down, it
Yeah,
did
the
make
fake
much more
bombs.
sense. It
Yeah,
make
he doesn't
much-
want to kill
made-
anybody except for the people that he actually did kill.
Mhm.
and he actually respected her in a weird way.
Oh yeah, he respected her. That's why.
Baby, I'll always respect you.
All right, so there you go, Chris. This was a good one to end this series with.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
Now I want to
Kinda
do
sad.
more
It's
of
I
it.
don't
bittersweet.
believe that.
Chris,
Hey,
it's
Chris.
it's bittersweet that it's ending.
No,
I gotta tell you.
I don't see this as an ending. I would like to revisit this at a later date. I
You
really
should.
think
You
it's
should start your own podcast and do just this.
Next time we do this, I will let. Well, we're not going to do it again, so I'm not even going to say it. Never mind. We're done.
I know what you're going to say. Let us,
Right.
let
We're done,
us all
Ralph?
pick movies.
We're done with this theme. So let's go to the next theme. So the next theme is remakes. Okay. And I let everybody bring 3 of their remakes that they want to talk about. And I brought one. So that's a total, I think, of 13 on the wheel now.
Yeah.
I
Did
made
I
it odd
bring
by
one, Ralph? Did I
Beauty
get a
and the
chance?
Beast.
the square, each square. It was a square thing, Debbie. I'm sorry.
I brought Beauty and the Beast for you.
Well, he brought 3, not just
Well,
one. He brought 3.
I must say that Beauty and the Beast is my selection.
Well, there you
Oh,
go. So it's
well,
on the
there you go.
wheel.
See, so Sean
So I'm not going to be left out. Please.
All right.
We better
So-
make sure that we all
Baby,
watch the right
you'll
ones,
never be
There's like
left
5 of
out.
them,
All right.
Oh,
All right,
that's
so
that's
what
which
we're gonna
two
do
Beauty
is-
and the Beasts.
right?
I put
I
13
didn't
on the
think of
wheel. Now, there's only 5 squares, so we'll only get through 5 of these to do the theme, unless it's hugely popular, which I'll be surprised.
With like 115
Right.
viewers.
If we get over 200, I'll be thrilled.
I'll promote the hell out of
So,
this.
And
so
if we
we'll-
do, then what we'll do is we'll do our own remake of the movie Phone Booth.
there you go. So we will spin this wheel to see
we
what
could
the
easily
films.
do that.
Now, the whole
Yes.
thing. I don't know if I want to watch both films. I mean, if most of these we've seen, I think.
You're not a good measure of that because you don't have to watch any films. So
Oh, I'll
if
go
you
on
don't want
YouTube
to
and
watch them,
figure
you
it
don't
out.
No, you
have
can
to.
just take a drive and watch it on your phone.
That's
Right.
what I'll probably do. So let's
funny.
let's open the
Whatever
wheel and
works.
see what the next film is going to be for next week. All right, so there's our list. Okay, it's 13 of them.
Wow.
Now,
that's
I
a
put
lucky
the-
number too.
I put the name of the remake, not both movies. Okay, so some of them have different names. Like we were talking about Drew's Brick
Brick Mansions.
Mansions, right? What is that? What is that a remake of?
That's a remake of a French film called a French action film called District B13, and then it was remade as a Paul Walker movie, and they are both very different experiences.
Oh wow, that's going to be
That
interesting.
that
That looks cool.
because I saw B13 and it was awesome.
Oh yeah, and the sequel is awesome too. And then they made Brick Mansions, and if that comes up, we'll talk about it.
Yes.
If it comes
Get
up,
caught
the
up.
wheel determines what's going to come up.
Exactly.
I mean, we got classics on here. The Day the Earth Stood Still. We got Ghostbusters. We got Evil Dead. The Evil Dead. So a lot of interesting ones. Of course, John brought all the old ones, of course. But
I didn't bring all
that's
old
how it
ones.
works.
No, I brought in Day the Earth
Couple.
Stood Still. And
All right, so let's spin this sucker and see what happens.
Of course, John brought in old ones. Oh, here we go.
So sensitive. Ooh. So. Oh
Yes! Ralph,
Wow.
one of them.
Ralph,
This
we'll just
was
put
one
the-
of our-
We'll just put the show you guys did in the link.
That's what I
Okay.
was thinking. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Well,
am
that's
actually
amazing. Okay.
shocked
Yeah,
that
because
that
that's
movie
one of the
came up.
first podcasts we ever did. Is
Yeah.
to take. That's why Sean and I started this
Who
podcast.
picked that movie for the wheel?
I did.
Oh,
Well, there are
I
two
did.
Ralphs
Wow.
on the show.
Knocked me
so
over with a
it's
feather.
Okay.
Well,
I
I got to
did.
say that Ralph and I were like fighting over who was going to bring Taking
Yes,
a
but I
Pelham
have a
1, 2,
question.
3
We all
to the
picked three
podcast
movies.
originally.
we all picked 3 movies.
Now we
Ralph
all won.
picked one,
It's amazing.
and that came up.
That's amazing. I mean, that's kismet.
Well-
that's great. And it's going to be good because that
No,
the remake.
I have no doubt.
When I first saw the remake, I hated it because I have such reverence for the first film.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoy the remake. It's a Tony Scott film, John Travolta. We'll talk about it. And also, like Chris was saying, there's a TV movie
I never
of Taking
heard
of
of
the
that.
Pelham 1, 2,
Is
3
that
with Vincent
extra
D'Onofrio.
Yeah, that was made in the late 90s, I
Yeah,
think.
check that one out. It's wild.
I don't know if that one's
I do love
readily
Vincent
available.
D'Onofrio.
Yeah, I think it's on you. I've seen it. I think I've seen it on YouTube. All right, so there you go. So next week it's Taking of the Pelham 1, 2, 3,
Wow, that is
and it's amazing. That's
It'll
like
be
one of the
very
first ones we did.
entertaining.
that's
Yeah,
Ripley's
it'll be great.
right there.
I might bring Chris, Uncle Al, and Hassan back
oh,
for
nice,
this one.
nice.
Maybe we should do a little. John, if you don't want to do it, we'll bring them.
No, Ralph.
Oh,
Listen, it's
you
your
would never
rules.
give up. You would never give up your spot for somebody.
You know what? I will. You want Uncle?
No.
I
Put
can give up my
him on.
spot for Pelham.
Put him
Oh
on.
wow, Debbie's out.
He's like,
No, baby.
I'll give him my spot.
All right,
All right.
Sean, I'll come over and sit with you.
Okay.
If Debbie's not going to be there.
Ooh.
Okay, and
I'll wear a
that leaves a
bindi.
space for
I get a little touchy
Hassan and Uncle Al.
sometimes.
All right, so
it's
let's
fine.
do
We'll
a-
do it in the
A
hot
little
tub.
touchy.
Let's do a round of what you watch. Let's start with Sean and Debbie.
I watched Beauty and the Beast.
Which one?
Oh, interesting.
Both of them. The first one was with Emma Watson, you know, the real people.
The live action.
Live action.
Yeah, the live action. And there was a reason for that I watched that.
What was the reason?
Well, as a married couple, I don't know if you realize we weren't on I wasn't on the show
Oh, boy.
last week
This sounds like it's going to be.
because
God.
we
What's-
had
what's
technical-
happening here?
We had difficulties, and
Yeah.
and I just got the idea. It wasn't my idea, but it came into my head, sort of, to watch Beauty and the Beast. And when I saw this movie, it clarified a lot of things in my life personally. So a lot of times movies are healing, and this movie, particularly Beauty and the Beast, really, hit home.
And I watched Nefarious. We went to the movies.
Yeah, we went to the movies and watched
A
Nefarious.
friends of mine wrote
What
and
is
directed
Nefarious?
it. It's a horror movie. It's sort of a faith-based horror film. It was released on a bad weekend because there were 3 horror films that came out.
Is that Sean Patrick Flannery? Is he the one?
Yeah, he's in it.
It sounds like
Renfield.
Frailty. Is it like Frailty? About
I didn't
people-
know.
What
It's
makes
more
it
like
faith
Mr.
based
North.
versus just what makes it faith based just versus a regular movie?
Because it has
God.
demons in it, has some God aspect.
It's
But
a
it never
very
uses the
religious
J
theme.
word, so don't worry.
Yeah.
But, it's a guy's team. The plot
J
is
word.
the killer is
Well,
a psychiatrist is sent in to see whether the guy is competent to be executed. because he's saying he's a demon, he's not the killer. And so it's like the demon taunting the atheist psychiatrist. You know, the atheist psychiatrist is a real liberal, and the demon's bringing up all sorts of
He sounds like the
conservative
hero.
values.
The atheist sounds like the hero of the film, is he?
Yeah, it would be. But
Yeah,
I was disappointed these guys picked a bad weekend to put it out because Renfield was up, and what was the other one? The Pope's Exorcist.
Oh, the Russell Crowe movie, right?
Yeah, so there were 3 horror films came out this weekend, last weekend.
Look at
And
that.
Mario's crushing them all.
Yeah,
Crushing them all.
Mario. You know,
Let's
because
go. I want that money to make as much movie as it can to keep.
You
me
want that
employed.
money to make as much movies?
I want
heard
that
it.
movie to make as
No,
much money
that's not
as
what
it
you
can.
said.
Mario. Why?
Super Movie Brothers Mario.
Wow.
It's not a Disney
Luigi.
picture.
Okay, John, what'd you watch?
Wait, I want to get back to that.
No,
I want
get up
that
there.
money to make as much movie as
Yeah.
I can. So I went to the theater and saw Renfield.
It looks fun.
I loved the movie because first of all, I love Nick Cage. They also it was made by Universal, so they actually stuck Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult into the original Dracula, which was really cool the way they did that. It's a funny movie. It's not a great movie, but it's 90 minutes. It's all about Nicholas Hoult plays Renfield, who has been in a toxic relationship with Dracula for 80 years, and he's trying to get out of it in the modern world. There's some great action scenes in it. Every time Nicholas Hoult eats a bug, he gets like these powers, and there's some great fights. Aquafina is in it, but the reason why you go to this movie is Nicolas Cage. I wish he was in it more. He's very funny, and there are scenes where he's very scary too. So it's a fine line, and it is a gore fest. Like, I was shocked at how bloody it was, but it's not. It's really cartoon. You know, like I wrote a review on Facebook. It's like the Black Knight in Monty Python. They cut his arm off and the blood spurting all over the place. That's the kind of violence it was. But it was a fun movie. If you want to go shut your brain off for 90 minutes, have a good laugh. Now, Drew, you brought up that show, The Great. Is that what it's called? That Nicholas Hoult is in. I've never seen him do anything funny. Very funny in this movie. Reminded me a lot of a young Hugh Jackman. But their chemistry, Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult, had really great chemistry. And the funniest scenes are Nicholas Hoult is in a toxic relationship support group. That's very funny.
That's in the trailer. They show that
but
in the
there's
trailer.
more than there's a couple of scenes with them that are really funny. So if you get a chance, go check it out. My wife went too, and she really liked it.
Well,
In fact, she
I would
gave it
encourage you
two
to
fangs.
watch. Yeah,
Two fangs.
I would encourage you to watch The Great because it's 2 seasons. It's incredibly funny. It's historical about Catherine the Great, but not
the
that
Great.
historical.
I thought you said the Great.
Yeah, the Catherine the Great, and not that historically accurate. And it's so funny. And Nicholas Hoult is so filthy as the Tsar Peter, who just everyone loves me, right? Kind of thing. It's ridiculous. And so if you
I'll check it out. Yeah,
funny Nicholas
very
Hoult,
funny.
it's on Hulu. It's on
Surprising.
Drew, do we count that as your what you watch?
No, because I didn't watch Renfield.
Okay.
And I didn't watch The Great.
Drew, what'd you watch?
So I tried to watch some television series. I watched the first 2 episodes of The Night Agent, which is the new Netflix show. It's supposed to be a really good spy show, and it wasn't bad. I got bored. It's by Sean Ryan, who did The Shield and other stuff that I like, but I don't think I'll watch more of it. And then I tried to watch The Power, which is the Prime show about young women discover that they can shoot lightning bolts from their fingers, and it changes the world. And I watched 2 episodes of that, and I don't think it had a story, so I got bored of that. And then I watched the 3rd episode of Succession that Ralph mentioned. It mentioned real good. And I realized, and I'm not going to spoil anything about it. It obviously has some big surprises in it. And I was watching all these people in the show suffer, and I realized I don't care about any of them. So I don't even know if I want to keep watching the show. But then
It's funny. Let me just jump in.
Yeah.
There was a hearing today in New York City for the crime. You know, the Republicans went up there to talk about how the bad New York City is, and one of the senators gave away the spoiler.
really?
in that. Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
that's funny.
no, this woman she said something. I'm like, whoa, you shouldn't be saying.
Yeah, not everybody's. I mean, I watched it a week late, for Christ's sake.
Right.
Oh my goodness! But then I treated myself. It was something I had already wanted to see. Ralph recommended it highly. I actually wanted to get the full experience, so I went to Redbox and I got an actual Blu-ray with 4K. With the Atmos sound and everything. And we watched Plane with Gerard Butler, which was an absolute blast. It was so much fun. It was like a 90s action movie where it's really violent, it's really exciting, it's really suspenseful, and the bad guys are so bad you're like, oh my god, please hit that guy in the face with a sledgehammer, and then he does.
Yeah.
So I totally want to watch it again. It was so fun. And Gerard Butler, when he's in that mode, not all of his movies are amazing, but it was very like and I like this movie too. It was very Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah.
If we ever do a series about like when certain like movies are similar and they come out at the same time, I would totally do a White House Down.
Yeah. Now you would.
An Olympus Has Fallen one, because there are really different takes on it. But no, Plane is so
Everyone
much fun.
loves you when you're gone, Chris. That's how this works. That's what happens.
Plane is so much fun. I
film.
really
Great
highly
film.
recommend it.
I
Really
enjoyed
fun.
that film a ton.
Is it streaming anywhere?
It's now available for rent on streaming. I don't think it's on any of the
free ones, yeah.
subscription services. Well, they're not free, of course.
I
but
love Gerard Butler, by the way.
He's great.
I absolutely.
And he
except
got to
for
be
Greenland.
Scottish in this
I didn't
movie.
like Greenland, but yeah, he
That's
could
too
be.
bad. That was one of his best
I know.
performances. But
I just think he's great.
yeah,
So I
it's
love
great.
watching him. And
And I
that
will say
plane
that-
is so. Plane is just what it is. A plane.
Well,
It's just-
which that's what I was going to say, is that it's really nice when you see a movie that achieves what it sets out to do. That was like a Roger Ebert standard. He's like, you really can't say anything bad about that. You might not like what it did, but it nailed it. And
he
you know,
was
I
a
just thought it was
human. He played it as a human being. Like he
Right.
actually had
He's not a
feelings in this film.
superhero.
There's a
Didn't turn out
scene
to
at
be
the
special
end.
forces,
I'm not going to give it
whatever.
away, but there's a scene at the end when he's sitting, and it's like, wow, that's an actual human moment in an action thriller.
Yeah.
It's really quite good.
Well, also the co-star is Mike Coulter, who he plays a character who's like we're getting on the plane at the last minute with a prisoner in handcuffs type of thing. That's not a spoiler. That's just the beginning of the movie. And so obviously he'll have an interesting role to play. And he was on The Good Wife and Evil and lots of other stuff. And I wish the movie had actually done even more with him. But it turns out that they're a great team together too.
Yeah,
So
he was
it's
great.
just
Wasn't
it's
he
got, the
Luke
movie
Cage?
has a lot
He was
of
Luke Cage, right?
satisfactions. Yes,
Mike
he was Luke
Coulter?
Cage.
Yeah.
He was Luke
Yeah.
Cage.
Yeah, it's a good film. Good job.
Enjoyed it.
Chris.
I actually went to go see To the Movies again recently, which is a
Nice.
lot lately. But I did go and I gave Mario some more money.
What studio put out Mario?
Sony.
Nintendo.
But with Sony, right? Wasn't that a Sony movie?
Um,
Nintendo.
I'd have to
paid for
double
it.
check.
Was that Chris Pratt playing Italian? Was that the movie?
Yes, Chris.
Yeah,
Okay,
unlike
sorry,
Bob
just-
Hoskins.
He voices Mario, and it was it was my kids absolutely loved it.
That's a cartoon, right?
Yeah, it's
No.
an animated film.
It's not a
How old
cartoon.
are your kids?
They are they're young. They're both still in elementary school.
Maybe we should take the kids.
So they really enjoyed it though, but it was basically just like if you took the basic story of one of the or all of them. I don't know. I never really played those games very much, but if you just took the story and you just kind of threw it together and hey, there's there's Bowser and there's Princess Peach and there's Mario and they're plumbers and
Donkey Kong.
there's Donkey Kong shows up.
Donkey Kong. Oh, I love Donkey
It
Kong.
literally just feels like, as slight as the stories are for the video games, it was kind of like that. It was very slight. It was like let's watch them drive on Rainbow Road. If you've ever played Mario Kart, you know what I'm talking about.
For the full Mad Max experience, sure.
Yeah, it was just
Fury Road.
I don't know. It was. I'm glad my kids enjoyed it because I get done with that.
It was produced by Illumination, Universal, and Nintendo.
Universal.
Yeah, why did Universal put this out the same week as Renfield? It's crushing Renfield.
Well,
Move
those are a little
Renfield.
different audiences, so I don't
Yeah.
blame.
I love
also-
that John Leguizamo's getting all pissed off.
Yeah.
And he just-
Because there's no Latin representative. In
I love
What,
that
in
guy.
Mario?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he played Luigi.
He played Luigi, right.
Luigi.
Right.
Are you sure
Yeah.
he's not just joking? I mean,
No,
that's
I don't know. I don't think
they
he is.
caught him on the street and he was dead serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I watched a couple of things. One
Glenn?
was the this year's finale of Love Is Blind. And
Not
I
the
was
live
very-
one that got screwed up.
I was very the reunion got screwed up, but the end where who gets married to who and all that, kind of disappointing. I was rooting for the wrong people. I'm not good at those things. They're terrible. I hate
What
that.
were the names of the ones that you?
Kwame and I can't remember the woman he married. She drove me insane. I couldn't even deal with it.
Yeah.
They're just it's such bullshit. They're all doing it for television. There's no reality behind that. All right. But the reality I did watch, this is very serious. I watched the 3-part series on Netflix called The American Manhunt, the Boston Marathon Bombing.
Oh.
And oh my God, it's such a good documentary on what happened. I didn't
I like
realize
Patriot Games.
well,
Or the movie that they did.
I ended
Day.
up watching because of this documentary. I ended up watching Patriots Day on directed by Peter Berg.
It's a great movie.
It's pretty good and starring Mark Wahlberg. But the documentary really is amazing. I didn't realize all the stuff that was going on for the hunt and it's 100 hours. Everything takes place within 100 hours. The way they figured out who they were, and the Asian kid who had the Mercedes who they kidnapped and took him to Watertown. And
I mean, every part of that story is insane and true. It's really incredible.
That's a great police work that they got.
Yeah, and how sensitive they were about we don't want to put it out too early because we don't want anti-Muslim sentiment and all this. They were really balancing a lot of things that they had to deal with, and all the real people are talking. They're cutting between the real people and some dramatic footage that they're showing, and it's just a really compelling documentary. And I have to say that I saw it last week, and then I went to a venue that was playing some music, and they had the bike racks hooked up, and being in a crowd after seeing this just made me kind of go, I got to look around a little bit more and see. It really does open your eyes a little bit to what's going on, and
I had friends in law enforcement that were involved with that, and they were keeping me a little bit informed as it was happening.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the whole Watertown
Yeah.
portion of what was going on, they didn't know. Nobody knew what was going on, and the shootouts that were happening, and I don't know how they caught him. I actually don't know how they caught him. It's amazing.
Well, they didn't catch him. That was the thing. They dropped a net on the whole city, and they put basically policemen as soldiers in everybody's house. And then after they came through, the homeowner's like, I think there's somebody in this boat.
There's a guy in a boat.
And that's where he was hiding. I mean, my understanding of the Peter Berg movie is like that whole shootout sequence, which is with J.K. Simmons, and that apparently that's pretty much the choreography of what happened.
Well, if you watch this documentary, they were throwing pipe bombs.
It's amazing.
They were throwing pipe bombs at the cops, and they were throwing pressure cookers at the cops.
Yeah,
blowing up shit all over that place. The other terrifying thing is this documentary shows bullet holes that are going in everybody's house, and some kid, it's amazing more people didn't get hurt given what was going on. But it's a fascinating 3-part documentary.
It's on Netflix?
Yeah, Netflix.
Cool.
Amazing.
Thank you for reminding me of that. I do want to watch
that.
They
just celebrated the 1-year anniversary of that at Fenway Park, actually.
The 10-year, you mean?
10-year, excuse me, yeah.
10-year,
yeah, my friend at work they had a big was that this week they did it?
Yeah, that was the year the Red Sox won the World Series.
Right, 2013 was the year they won. But my friend who's now dating a first responder said there was a big they did a big thing this week in Boston. And when you watch
the police deserve to be applauded for that they managed to put that together.
Not only the police, but the victims who ended up running the races, and
the state was in friggin' lockdown.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
And the kid from Hereditary played. I didn't realize this because I just watched. Yeah, that kid from Hereditary played one of the bombers, and he was
the younger brother.
Yeah.
Did anybody in the documentary check in with Big Papi, because he was very inspirational? This is fucking Boston. I loved it.
They showed that, and that's the first time the FCC let that thing slip out without.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah. He has a big scene in both the movie and the documentary. He's
nice.
So yeah, very good doc. And I don't like docs that are more than one episode, but this one very compelling. And all the accents. Woo! I have researched the accents, and they were fantastic. So I'm gonna have to. You should check that one out. All right. So good job. Next week it's Taking of the Pelham 1, 2, 3, starring John Travolta
and
directed by Tony Scott.
Matthau.
Which don't we have to watch both of them, or we just gonna watch one?
You have to watch the first one.
Well,
it's just an excuse to watch it.
I don't remember the last time I've seen it.
Yeah, it's an amazing.
Dun.
Dun, dun.
Dun.
Yes, fantastic soundtrack.
I used to put the soundtrack on in my headsets, and I get in the subway and I would play that. It was so great.
Wow.
So
Look
great.
at that
Sounds
soundtrack.
like you
Yeah,
guys.
Gesundheit.
Who it was
Was it Lalo
Joseph
Schifrin?
Joseph
no,
Sargent.
Shire.
Shire, right? He directed.
No, directed it was Joe Sargent.
It was
Joe
Joseph
Sargent directed. I'm saying that the soundtrack
The score was by Shire.
Oh, okay,
right?
yeah.
the brother of Talia Shire. Did the soundtrack.
I was going to do a movie with Joe Sargent.
Oh my god!
That's
All
another.
right, guys, have a good night. Everybody, it was great
Yeah.
to see you.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're such a horde. You know that? You realize? You really are.
Not
All
that
right,
it matters,
John,
but
anything you
hit
want
the
to say?
subscribe
We
button,
should
hit
see
the
Debbie
notification
when
button.
I'm watching a movie. I'm
Thank
like,
you, John.
oh,
That
this
like
person
button.
read one of my
If
scripts.
you watch it, great. If you don't, at this point, I don't care. Just, you know what I mean? I mean, we're begging you, and nothing's working. So,
Nothing's
you know,
working.
so
They don't
maybe
care.
the Pelham will help.
All right, next
I know
week.
the cage match didn't do crap, but who cares? We had fun.
They were fun. We enjoyed them.
you know,
this
John,
was a great episode.
And we're
Just so
really
everybody
focused-
Everyone
knows,
should
We're
watch
really
this
focused
one.
on Chris the last couple of weeks.
So everybody knows, Sean and I started this podcast. We didn't care about views.
Now you're viewers.
Well, I have to admit the Indian films turned us into.
I
that.
know,
I'm not
I
going to
know.
lie, but
Just
when
because you make a show that people respond to doesn't make you a whore. That means your show is succeeding.
I'm not saying I'm a whore. I'm
No,
saying
it's when
Sean's
you-
a whore when he brings up all these scripts.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
So
sure.
I can't help it. I've had brushes with greatness.
Well,
So,
when you-
I didn't tell you about my great grand aunt sleeping with what's that guy, the big director, Hollywood director, Joseph von Stroheim.
John Waters.
John von Stroheim.
oh, we can't
Oh, that
talk about
director.
that one.
Yeah,
It's Eric.
Debbie,
Eric von Stroheim.
Debbie,
My grandmother
John's
found his
his nephew.
sister-in-law in bed
Yes,
with him.
Ralph.
Debbie, go watch Beauty and the Beast again. Capture some of that magic.
Yeah, I want to
back.
make sure everything's okay because you missed a show last week because something happened.
Well, we had a big old fight.
Oh, that's why you weren't really sick.
I was
You're sick of Sean.
sick of
Oh,
I
you
was
were
sick
heart
of
sick.
Sean.
You were heart sick. Oh,
No,
is everything
it-
okay?
Well, marriage is
Oh,
mercurial.
you guys are being
right?
like Forrest Whitaker in Phone Booth. Stop with the honesty here. I don't like this.
Listen, if you want marriage advice, you got to
It's
talk to
no-
Ralph off the camera.
Yeah, I
Ralph's the
call
guy.
Ralph all the time.
Ralph,
Plenty of advice.
let me tell
Love
you,
is blind.
it's not for sissies.
No,
It definitely is not
It's
for
a roller
sissies.
coaster.
You're right. You need to be strong
but the show's got to go on, Debbie.
and a little ignorant.
No,
you
I
gotta
don't
be a
believe
little
in
ignorant
that.
too. Because
No,
I can't
Messy.
be a phony. I really
our
can't.
fans. Oh, yes, you can. Our fans want you there.
Baby, you've
I
been
love that about you, Ralph. that you
you've
just
been
said
faking
that.
it for years.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Our fans want you there. Where's Auntie? Where's Auntie? Then we got to deal with that.
You
now.
are beloved.
Did anybody miss me?
Yes.
Well, we haven't.
Comments? Everybody was
yeah,
being
look at the
comfortable.
comments.
we miss you.
People
What
want
are
to
you
make sure
talking
you're
about?
feeling okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now we know you
I've
lied.
been mad for about a week, but
Oh no.
Okay,
Debbie.
wait a minute.
She was also sick.
Let's we'll see everybody next week.
bye.
Wow, this is just getting interesting.